Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today I want to talk about something that isn't necessarily discussed very often here in the prepper community, and it's something that we should definitely consider in our preparedness planning because it is important for us to live the best lives we possibly can. And of course, prepping is supposed to supply us with that if things really go south, right? As preppers, we prepare for the worst and we hope for the best. But as a prepper, you should also be prepared for nothing to happen, right? You hear that all the time. Nothing's going to happen. Stop prepping. Why are you preppers all freaking out? Nothing's going to happen. And we usually scoff at that idea because right now around the world, people are suffering in their own personal SHTF events that are happening to them right this second. However, the likelihood of a cataclysmic SHTF event occurring and ending the world as we know it is relatively low, let's be honest. And the likelihood of us just moving forward at some sort of slow pace where things just get more difficult over time, but don't necessarily end, is more likely. Now, because of that, we should be prepared for nothing to happen just as much as we should be preparing for something to happen. As a prepper, we want to be ready for whatever might come our way. So we get supplies and we learn skills and we get training. So that way, if that big SHTF scenario does occur, we'll all be okay or suffer less through it, right? Well, the same thing should be applied to nothing happening. You should be moving forward in your life. You should be progressing when it comes to trying to generate more income, when it comes to taking better care of your family, when it comes to learning new skills, when it comes to opening a business, whatever it is that you need to do to move forward in our current situation is also just as important as being prepared for that proverbial TEOTWAWKI scenario. The reason why is because if nothing happens and you don't do anything at all to try to adapt to the changing environment, to try to set yourself up for success here in the future, then you'll find yourself wishing you would have done more in that regard, just like you would wish you had done more when it comes to prepping if that big end of the world event were to occur. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because in the comments section and just in the prepper community as a whole, you get a lot of people who say things like, hey, nothing's going to happen. Why are you concerned? Don't worry about it. But the biggest thing I hear is, so you're talking about these SHTF events and you think that these bad things are going to culminate into something worse at some point in time, yet you're still telling people, hey, maybe it's a good idea to find alternative power. Hey, maybe it's a good idea to go pick up some more ammunition. Or hey, maybe it's a good idea to check out some new optics or whatever it's going to be. And then they ask me, why are you telling us to do these things if you think SHTF is just going to happen anyways? And my reply to that is that you still need to progress and move forward even if something hasn't happened yet. Because we need to use all the time we have until we don't have any time left. And that's something I think gets lost in the community at times because it is easy to say, oh, World War III is here, so I need to go sit in my house and lock my doors, and then once this thing happens, I'll know I'll be good to go. Well, if World War III does happen and doesn't affect you directly, or if it doesn't happen and then definitely doesn't affect you directly, what are you going to do next, right? Have you already placed all of your bets? As preppers, we don't put all our eggs in one basket, and you shouldn't do that when it comes to planning for SHTF to occur. You have to spread out your effort and your knowledge into different areas to make sure that you can adapt to whatever changing environment comes your way. It's kind of the definition of a prepper, right? Someone who can survive and adapt any environment. So, you should be prepared for nothing to happen. Don't let the concept of an SHTF scenario stop you from moving forward, right? Don't let the idea that World War III might be on the horizon or inflation is just going through the roof or the fact that banks are failing stop you from searching out a new career, opening a business, finding new ways to generate revenue. Those things will make you more successful in the long run, whereas just sitting in your house waiting for it to happen could eventually actually affect you more negatively than it can positively, right? So even though I see negative things on the horizon, and even though I'm concerned about the way things are going around the world, I'm concerned about the way things are going at home right now, I'm still going to do what I can to better myself and provide my family with a better quality of life. And I'm not going to stop pursuing those endeavors until there's a point where I literally just cannot any further. And I think that's important for all of us to try to be doing as well. And I'll give you a tip, and this is, I don't know if it sounds harsh or not. I mean, let me know in the comments what you think. But listen, the more productive you can be and the more income you can generate, the better prepared you can be. And that's not trying to put anybody down for not being in the best financial situation or anything along those lines. That's just pure logic. Logically, if you have more resources, you can apply them to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, AKA being prepared for the end of the world. So trying to increase your ability to access resources is still important no matter what the situation, right? And the more resources you have access to, the better prepared you will be. And therefore, if that SHTF event ever does occur, you'll probably still be better off, even if you wouldn't have just sat in your home for the last 5 years waiting for it to actually occur and trying to play it safe during that entire period of time, right? We need to move forward no matter what's happening. It's just part of the deal, right? So I guess a big part of this conversation was me trying to let everyone know that it's okay to keep searching out new solutions. It's okay to keep trying to strive towards that next goal, right? Look, I told you guys a long time ago on this channel, and I've said it more than once, that I was going to continually try to figure out new ways to expand what I do here, new ways to expand on my preparedness, and new ways to kind of fulfill what it is I'm trying to accomplish, which is spreading awareness about preparedness and trying to build a community that we can all rely on during an emergency scenario. And of course, I was able to accomplish some of those goals here recently. One of those ways was by working with Midway USA. And of course, they're the biggest supporter of the channel now. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the drive and the ambition to try to go out and make some of these relationships occur, right? And I appreciate what they do for me. Being a huge sponsor of the channel allows me to do a lot more than I could before. Now, the other thing to keep in mind when it comes to that is that if I thought the end of the world was here today, which I don't necessarily think, and if they thought the end of the world was here today, then I guess we wouldn't be working together. But businesses like Midway and many others out there, they still have to open their doors every single day until they literally cannot anymore. And you should really apply yourself and take that same approach when it comes to your personal preparedness. Open the doors every day. Get up, get out, and make things happen. Don't use the idea that this SHTF scenario might be on its way to discourage you from trying to progress. We all need to progress in our preparedness and in our personal lives. And if nothing happens, you'll be glad that you kept moving forward during these times. Because if nothing happens, like a lot of people like to say, I mean, they all say it, right? Well, if nothing happens, I guess you'll be doing much better at that point in time. Now, I did get to get my P320 out, get some shooting done with that because I've got a new configuration I set it up with, just trying to test some new stuff out and see what I can do to make things more efficient. And I also got the 11.3-inch Wilson Combat here where I got the Comp M5 that I had to verify the zero on. And getting out and training and still trying to become more efficient with your gear and equipment is a good idea. You don't want to get stagnant in that regard either, especially when it comes to things like having to expend ammunition, because we know ammunition's expensive. Everybody wants to make sure they have a certain amount on hand, but if you're not using it and you don't train, you'll lose it, right? You won't be as efficient as you need to be when that time actually comes where it might matter. So these are still things you can be doing. Now, another thing that really gets people kind of caught up when it comes to progressing and moving forward, especially in their preparedness, is location. How do you get into a better location? How do you find yourself a better situation when it comes to your property, your home, your apartment, your condo, wherever you live, right? People want to get out of the cities. They want to get out of their current living situation and they want to find a more defendable or a more private scenario when it comes to where they can actually plant some roots. And that can be very difficult to do, especially if you're kind of trapped in that urban environment and you don't really have the experience or the know-how to get out there and find stuff on your own, right? It's kind of hard to just go out and find property that you can just shoot guns on and build a shooting range on. It's just not something that they advertise generally on Zillow, right? And of course, I got very lucky finding the property I have here. Well, by trying to find some solutions for everybody and trying to offer more about, preparedness where I can, and at the same time, like I said, trying to expand what I can do here on the channel, I have teamed up with a company called survivalretreatconsulting.com. And what's very cool about that is what they do is for a fee, of course, I think it's, anywhere between like 250 or 500 bucks. So there's a fee involved, as there would be with any of these consulting services. But what they do is they help figure out exactly what it is you're looking for, and then they point you in the right direction, and they do all the footwork and the research to find property or real estate or whatever else it might be that can actually get you into that more private or defensible position that you want to find yourself in. So if that's something you're looking for, check out survivalretreatconsulting.com, and just know they also offer firearms training, and they have some really cool perks when it comes to working with them, especially if you go through the entire process of acquiring real estate and everything else thereafter. So check them out. Thanks to them for supporting the channel as well. And these are just companies I'm working with in order to not only expand what I can do here, but hopefully provide all of you with some knowledge or assistance when it comes to becoming more prepared. I can now test out gear that I didn't have access to before, which hopefully gives you a better idea of whether or not something's worth your time, effort, energy, or financial resources in order to move yourself forward in preparedness. I mean, right now, I've even got on some old military surplus Swiss gaiters. And that was not a very good high kick, but I'm in some pretty deep snow and I didn't really want to risk breaking my back just to show you how excellent I can high kick. But I guarantee you it's a real thing. Either way, yeah, these Swiss gaiters are like 18 bucks or something like that, mil serp. Good to go. My feet are drier than they've ever been when I've been out here in this frozen lake of disgustingness. So I'm doing what I can and I'm progressing forward, and I wanted to share this message with everybody because I want you to progress forward too. I want us all to be not just moving forward in our preparedness, but moving forward in our lives, okay? Don't let the current environment stop you from progressing yourself, progressing your career, progressing your business, having an idea about a product or an innovation or a new business, whatever it is. Don't let things stop you from accomplishing goals, right? Set goals and still try to accomplish them. And I guarantee you, I will work on trying to get things done all the way up until the nuclear bomb goes off. You know what I mean? I am working on getting livestock here on the property. I'm working on setting up some orchards and some gardens and everything else this spring. And I mean, it's technically spring, but I think you see what I'm working with here. But either way, these are all things I'm still doing. And I honestly believe that we're facing some very dangerous times here in the near future. But I'll be even more prepared when those times come because I'm still going to progress myself and my family towards the end goal of being as prepared as possible, while also hopefully having a comfortable life if nothing happens. All right. And that is important for us all to provide our families with because it's kind of our jobs, right? We want our families to live comfortable lives. So we have to do these things. So I wanted to just talk about this because it comes up a lot. And I had to somewhat agree with some of these people because they were saying that whole, why would I go out and do this if everything's going to end, right? Look, I can't tell you exactly what day or what time things are going to end. But what I can tell you is that everything you do up until that moment will help you. And you shouldn't bet on the end, especially when it comes to things like personal debt. Not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. What I'm trying to say is, betting on the end of the world to clear out your debts and to make your life restart and give you that chance you never had or whatever it is that you believe is not a good bet. It's just not a good bet, right? Everything's always in the house's favor. So keep that in mind and let me know what your thoughts are on this. Are you prepping for nothing to happen just as much as you're prepping for something to happen? Because you have to have that balance. And it can be difficult to figure out sometimes, especially with everything going on in the world right now. And then let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. Go to magicprepper.com. And besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.